Welcome back to Analytics Home. In today's video, I will discuss more practical examples on how to define functions in Python. So the first practice is to convert temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So to do that, you type in the built-in function diff. If you don't know about anything on this topic, I'll drop the link in the description down below for you to see the video on all basics and everything you need to know about creating your own function in Python. So use the keyword diff, which means define, and then I want to call this my function temperature converter, and then my parameter will be temp and then the unit. Okay, I'm adding the unit because this will be the basis on which the conversion will be done. So if for instance unit is equal to Celsius, let me say C. Celsius is, if unit is equal to Celsius, return temperature multiplied by 9 divided by 5 plus 32. So this is actually the formula to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. If you go online and check, this is exactly what you see. But then if unit is equal to, let me say, Fahrenheit, return temperature minus 32, temperature minus 32 multiplied by 5 divided by 9. Okay, so this is exactly what I want my function to do. So let me say, if for instance my temperature converter has my temperature is 45 and then the unit is in Fahrenheit, and then I want to convert it to Celsius. That's supposed to be, and then I want to convert it to Celsius. Let me print this. Print. Okay, so if I run this code, so 45 Fahrenheit is equal to 7.2 Celsius. So this is how my function is going to be. Then the next practice question is password check. So now I want to create a function that checks if a password is strong. It can include whatever you want, but in the course of this video I will state exactly what I want my password to include. So I'll use the inbuilt function define strong password, and then my parameter is going to be password. Okay, there's something I didn't talk about in the previous practice, docstring. I can actually explain what I want my my function is going to do, is what my function is all about, because it's for me for easy remembrance. Maybe I left my code for a long time and then I came back, I'll be able to easily understand exactly what my code does. And then if there's any developer I send my notebook to, he or she can be able to understand exactly what my function does. So for instance, you can say this function checks if a password is strong. So this is what my function is meant to do. Okay, so now I want my password to be more than to be at least 8 or above number of characters. So to add that condition, if the length of my password is less than 8, return false. Okay, so this is one condition. And then I want my password to contain a digit. Okay, so if not, that is if the condition I want to state here is not part of my password, that's I'm using if not any, that is okay. Then I'm going to create a loop that is going to loop through my password for characters in password. Okay, I'm going to check if character has digits. So I'll use the string character is digits. I'm going to check if my password is character in digits. Okay, if there is no digit in the password, return false. Okay, then I'm going to also I also want my password to contain lowercase characters, lowercase string. Okay, so now if not, that is if lowercase character is not in my password, return false. Any, so I'm going to look through my character for character in password. Character is lower. Is meant to check if there is any lowercase string, return false. So another check I would love to apply is if there's uppercase. Okay, so if uppercase is not among the password, check for characters in password, my expression is going to be character is upper. Okay, return false. And then there is something else. I want my password to include special characters. So if any of this is not found, for character in password. Okay, so character in, that is, check if the character has colon, full stop, at symbol, hash symbol, and symbol, raised to power symbol, asterisk symbol. You can go on and on depending on you, or depending on whatever you want. Let me say plus, okay, whichever you want. So I need my password to contain any of these special characters. So if it's not found, return false. So if the password meets all these criteria, return true. So this is basically exactly what I want my password to contain. So let me do a password check. Let me check my code. Strong password. So let me say uppercase, lowercase, digits, special character. This has to be in quote because it's a string. Okay, so let me check. False. I have a false. So what did I miss? Okay, I think it's the length. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So let me say, let me add n to it. So yeah, exactly. So this is how to create a password strength check based on your own criteria. So the next example I'm going to be doing is to calculate the total cost of items in a shopping cart. Okay, I'll define my function. Oh, this is markdown. Let me delete this. Define my function. Let me call this total order. Then my parameters, parameter, which is num, enter. And then to calculate the total number of cost of item in the shopping mall, I will need to do a loop. Okay, so for item in num, let me create a variable where I'm going to store my solutions for each calculation starting from 0. I'll explain that. So for item in num, now total will be added over and over, and then what I want you to calculate is that item, the item multiplied by the value times multiplied by the amount, and then item multiplied by the quantity. This will be the quantity. This will be the quantity, and this will be the price. Let me state the price. Then when I create my cart, I already know that I need to multiply price by quantity. So what this does is that for my cart, it picks the first price and the total quantity, multiplies it, and then stores the value in total, and then iterate to the next item, picks the price and multiply by the quantity and adds it to the total, create the new total, and then it picks the next over and over until the total number of orders has been added. After everything, I want my code to return the total. So basically, this is how exactly what my code is going to do. So let me do a practice. Let me say, for instance, cart is equal to create a list. So to call my code, I'll say print total order, which is the name of my function, and then the name of the parameter, which is cat. So if I run this, so I have a total of 9,500 to pay up. So let's go to the next example. Next example is check the password checks if a string is a palindrome. Okay, so what's a palindrome? Palindrome is simply a string that when spelled forward and backward still give you the same pronunciation. Okay, or a sentence could be a sentence, it could be a word. If you go online and check, you're going to see a whole lot of palindromes available out there. So now the first thing I'll do is to define my function. Okay, so define palindrome, then let me say name. So now name is equal to, so first of all, I want my name to be converted to lowercase, just in case I started with an uppercase. Python is case sensitive. If I write capital letter A-D-A, which is Ada, and then when it spells backward is small letter A-D and capital letter A, it's going to state false because Python is case sensitive. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to convert my name to be in lowercase. And then in case for sentences, I want to remove all spacing. I don't want remove the spaces. Okay, and then convert to lowercase. After doing this, after converting to lowercase or removing spacing, I want you to return the opposite, the reverse rather, not opposite. So to do that, use a double column minus 1. So I spoke about this in a data structure called list. This is basically a way to slice and access your list. So I'll drop the link in the description down below for you to understand this concept better. Okay, so this is basically what I want. So if for instance I call my function palindrome and then I write Ada for an instance, I run this, it's going to say true because Ada can be spelled forward and backward. So the next example we'll do is to calculate the factorial of a number using recursion. Okay, so basically define my function, call it factorial, then parameter is going to be 1, and then if my parameter is equal to 0, return 1, because factorial of 0 is 1. Okay, else return the parameter multiplied by the factorial of the parameter minus 1. This is basically the formula. If you go online, you're going to see this, just basically the formula to find a factorial. Okay, so if for instance I want to find the factorial of 10, I'll say print, call out my function, print the factorial of 10. If I run this, so this is the factorial of 10. So the next example I'll show you is how to create a function to read a file and count the frequency of each word. Okay, so for this particular practice or example, I'll define my function. Let me say count word and state the frequency. I'm going to have my file paths. Okay, that's a file to read, and then so first of all I'll create a dictionary where the words and its count is going to be stored. Equal to a dictionary. The reason why I chose a dictionary because a dictionary contains the key and the value, and that is exactly the format I want my function to display its data, because I want the name of the word and then the total number of frequency shown. That's the reason why I used a dictionary. So to know more about dictionaries in Python, I'll drop the link in the description down below for you to see the video on dictionaries. Okay, so now with this is a keyword used to call out a file. Open the file path and then place it on read mode. So you can have the read mode, write mode, the append mode. Okay, when you open a file. Okay, so when you open the file, name the file with open file as file. I want it to be called file. So now when you open those I'm telling my Python, when you open this file, for each lines in the file, I'm going to create a variable called words. For each line makes word, each line words makes line, rather makes a sentence. So for each words now will now be equals to those lines dot split. So split the sentence into words. That is what I'm telling the program to do. Split the lines into words. So for words, for words, for word, let me say for word in words. Now, for each word gotten, okay, I'll create another variable. For each word gotten, for each word gotten, convert it to lowercase, because Python is case sensitive. Don't convert it to lowercase, it will assume that the one with uppercase is a new word. Stripe, I want you to remove all the punctuation marks. Okay, so I'm going to use the stripe keyword to remove the full stop, the hyphen, the exclamation mark, this question mark, what other, okay, let me say colon. What else? This is all I can remember for now. Remove all this from the word, and then now the word count, and then now the word count, the word count word. This is just a way to access words in, this is a way to access values in a dictionary. Okay, so when you the access word in a dictionary should be equal to the word count, the word count dot get word 0, and then when you get a new word, this is simply when you get a new word, add it as 1. But if you've seen this word before, add 1. This is what I'm telling my code to do. And then when you get a word, if you've seen the word before, add 1. If you've not seen the word before, just state it as a new word. So after doing that, return word count. So this is exactly what I want my code to do. So I guess I have a text right here called practice. So let me count the frequency of each word in that particular file. So print count word frequency in the practice file. So let me run that. So I have my ones, name ones is 3 times. So this is basically how to create the function that reads a file and then counts the frequency of each word. Okay, so now the last thing I'll talk about is how to create a function that validates an email. Okay, so for this I'm going to import the regular expression module. Okay, I'm going to import this module, and then I'll define my function as valid email, Then this is going to be my variable. So now I want the pattern of my email to be equal to the raw string format. Wait, let me use the raw string format because I'm going to be adding some kind of special characters, so I need the raw string format. So in the regular expression, this means the starting point, and the starting point of my email should contain either small letter A down to small letter Z, capital letter A down to capital letter Z. It could be digits 0 to 9, and then it could be an underscore, it could be full stop, it could be a positive symbol, it could be even an hyphen. Okay, so whichever of these will do for the starting of the email. Then plus the next is the @ symbol. The @ symbol, after the @ symbol, what follows can be a small letter A down to small letter Z, capital letter A down to capital letter Z. Could be digits, it could be digit 0 to 9, and it could also be an hyphen. Then the next will be a full stop. Next in an email should be a full stop. So full stop is a special character in regular expression. So I'll use this slant to bypass the full stop and then present it as an actual full stop. That is what this slant symbol does. It takes this full stop as an actual full stop and not an inbuilt function. So after the full stop, what follows can be a small letter A down to small letter Z, capital letter A down to capital letter Z, or a digit from 0 to 9, or maybe even an hyphen, and then the end. This $sign symbolize the end of the email. So now, after you've done all that, return true or false. That's bool. Return true or false. Don't mind my neighbors. Okay, regular expression dot match. This is a keyword in regular expression used to check if two things matches. So check if the pattern matches with my parameter. So this is basically exactly what I want. So let me call my function. So valid email, say Edwin Precious 2018 at gmail.com. Right, so let me check that if it's true. So it's true. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you know it was helpful, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in my next video. Bye.